Welcome back, Astro listeners, to Star Lady Soul Reader Network. This is Media Monk, and as usual, I'm joined by the shining star of the Zodiac. It's Star Lady. Hi, Star Lady.
Hello, Media Monk.
And we all know Star Lady is indeed Kim Marie, the managing director for our network. EAN continues to certify new evolutionary astrologers, and yet we assist a lot of other people just looking for that next level of soul growth through our podcasts like these, workshops, streaming video, audios, all sorts of things in our Astro Library, as well as our full EA course that you can look at www.evolutionaryastrology.net, and always call 605-348-5111 with any questions or concerns about navigating the website. We also want to promote, I think we're going to do a special, I know we're going to do a special JWG EA online conference October 6th, 7th, and 8th. October 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's going to occur, of course, online. You can get a 10% discount by using the coupon code Pluto, and just go to this URL and get all the conference lectures and the schedule, etc. Star Lady will be featured on the October 7th date of this event. Go to jwgaea.org and get your registration there. Save 10% using coupon code Pluto. Be looking for Star Lady's featured presentation on the 7th of October. So join the EA family for this wonderful event. Very easy to participate online. All right, with that, I'll turn it over to you on this full moon podcast, Star Lady, and thank you for doing the research.
Most welcome, Media Monk. I'll repeat it one more time. JWG stands for Jeffrey Wolf Green. JWGAEA.org. You can go to that website with your registration, 10% with the word Pluto. All right. Welcome. Welcome to one of our last supermoons, full moons of 2023. This podcast is the full moon of Aries, which will be September 29th, early in the morning in North America. That full moon is going to be 6 degrees, sun in Libra, moon in Aries. So that full moon in Aries is going to create a lot of activity and excitement coming up this last weekend of September. And where we are in the northern plains, we're going to have warm days and clear, cloudless nights finally. So Media Monk and I are really looking forward to this full moon of Aries, and we plan to be outdoors at one of our reservoirs doing our last camping trip of the season. So we're kind of excited for the weekend here before we cool down in the northern plains where we live. And so, again, the full moon of Aries, this can feel like a little bit of a feisty time period, especially because the moon is closer to Earth, which is why it's called a supermoon, because it appears to be larger than it actually is. And just in case we have any beginners to astrology out there, the reason the sun and the moon look the same is because the moon is, let me get this right, 400 times closer to Earth than the sun. All right, hold on. I should be able to rattle this off my head. The moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, and it is 400 times closer to Earth. Again, one more time. The moon is actually 400 times smaller than the sun, but it is 400 times closer than the sun to planet Earth. And that is why twice a year the sun and moon will line up on the ecliptic, the path that the moon or the path that the earth travels around the sun. But when sun and moon line up on that ecliptic twice a year, we have eclipses. And so after this full moon, we're going to have a solar eclipse, 21 Libra, on October 14th. And that's going to be followed by a lunar eclipse on October 28th at 5 degrees Scorpio Taurus. So we're getting ready to head into a south node eclipse season because the sun is traveling on the south node of the moon in Libra. So we, following that fall equinox, sun into Libra on September 23rd, all right, we're heading into an eclipse season that is relationship review. The EA mantra for Libra that I created many moons ago, I balance a diversity of relationships with my own initiative. I balance, Libra, a diversity of relationships, Libra, with my own initiative, Aries. And so we may find that full moon of Aries heading into this weekend. What about me? What about me? What about me? That was a theme for the Venus retrograde in Leo over the course of this summer. And the other thing that's going to happen heading into this weekend is Venus is going to make its third and final waxing square to Uranus and Taurus. September 29th, Venus at 23 Leo, Uranus retrograde at 23 Taurus. But at that same time, Mercury, finishing up its retrograde cycle, is going to trine Uranus a day later, September 30th. Mercury is going to be at 23 Virgo with Uranus retrograde at 23 Leo. So here's those two inner planets, Venus and Leo, what about me? And Mercury in Virgo, oh my gosh, what did I do? Oh, I feel a little guilty. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. You know, that Leo-Virgo energy that's been going back and forth with these two inner planets in their retrograde cycles, finishing up. And so there can be some revelations over this weekend of who we are and how we wish to participate in relationships. So Venus, square Uranus, may require a little bit of courage in how we want to move forward with our evolving values. And Mercury, trine Uranus, can show us the work that we have to do to create the resources we want in our world based upon what is important to us. And as they finish up their retrograde cycles, they're going to finish and move beyond post-shadow period. Post-shadow is the third passage over the retrograde degrees. Mercury moves post-shadow on that same day, September 30th. Venus moves post-shadow October 7th. So it's a good aha time with this full moon of Aries and who we are and how we want to relate in that relationship world. Now, those eclipses are going to come along, and they're going to double-check everything and just make sure our relationships are really moving in the directions that we want them to. Another thing, if you want to look at it, is, let me get this right. This is going to be morning skies for those of you who want to get up early in the morning. I'm pretty sure, because we got the moon rising, yes. Moon's going to hang out with Jupiter, but those are going to be early in the morning before they both set in the skies, if you'd like to look at them together. Probably one of the major things to recognize as we move into the month of October including Chiron. We have the 6 outer planets all retrograde. If you want to include Earth in Aries, we have 7 outer planets all retrograde together. So they're really throwing off entrenched, unconscious, old consensus patterns to have all of the outer planets retrograde. Let go of this, throw that off, review ABC and XYZ, and where do we want to be in our world? And we have the 3 inner planets, Mercury moving into Libra, doing all those communications October 4th through the 22nd. We have Venus finishing up 4 months in Leo, going into Virgo, October 8th to November 8th. Now, Venus gets to do that Virgo review. I'm not the center of the universe, and how do I make my improvements with others, and evolving back and forth through this Libra relationship season. And Mars goes into Scorpio, October 11th to November 24th, really asking us to put energy into how we want to move forward in the world. Mars, our conscious, instinctive desire nature, moving into Scorpio, ruled by Pluto, the deep desires of the soul. One more time. All of the outer planets are retrograde, throwing off all kinds of conditioning patterns, and the 3 inner planets are changing signs and putting that personal energy forward as we throw things off. This is the backdrop to the first of the outer planets turning direct, and that is going to be Pluto, finishing up a 5-month retrograde cycle. I don't know if you remember, Pluto went retrograde back in March, 0.5 degrees Aquarius. We can kind of review that a little bit. Did the artificial intelligence or AI world take off as Pluto initiated itself into Aquarius? Yes, it did. So, as Pluto turned stationary direct, it's moved back in to Capricorn. Did that in June, early June. And Pluto turned stationary direct October 10th. 2753 Capricorn. And the reason I am saying that 2753 Capricorn is because in the USA July 4th, 1776 charts, any time of the day, that July 4th chart, USA natal Pluto, which was retrograde, is 2735. So Pluto gets all the way back to 2753. It is literally less than 20 minutes from the USA natal Pluto. Close, 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 close. It can almost feel with this Pluto stationary direct that the USA is having a 4th Pluto return, that it's new phase. It's the opposite of where it was when it went retrograde in 21, 22. Now we're in the fall. As it turns stationary direct, it's closest to that natal Pluto. So it also is going to be a big push of energy moving forward on deep soul levels, collectively for the United States, but also individually. And there may be some individuals in the USA who might be having a few reality checks. Anybody come to mind for those of you wanting to work with Capricorn rule of law and maturing and being responsible? You know, Pluto really doesn't let us escape karma. It can sometimes take a while, and sometimes it even takes more than one lifetime or two. But sooner or later, we all have to meet our Pied Piper and face those reality checks, Pluto. And reality checks in Capricorn are, again, essentially about a soul maturation process. But it can also just be about maturation in regards to resources. Have we been abusive of resources? Where are we having reality checks with that? Oh, have we been responsible with resources? Are there any resource rewards showing up for us in our world? This Pluto stationary direct 2753 Capricorn is going to have all of us over planet Earth, facing our own reality checks and facing our own reality rewards. It's going to be individual for each of us. If you live in the USA with that transiting Pluto conjunction to the natal USA Pluto 2735 Capricorn, you have a little bit of an emphasis with reality checks and reality rewards. How is it happening for you? That next day, October 11th, Sun's going to have an opposition to Chiron retrograde. Sun's going to be about 17-18 Libra. Chiron's retrograde 17-18 degrees Aries. And that Chiron retrograde, are we feeling wounded from Pluto's stationary direct? Or are we having some aha moments of healing with ourselves and others, Aries-Libra? Again, it'll be a very personal situation for us. Now, in between this full moon of Aries on September 29th and Pluto stationary direct October 10th, Mercury traveling through those later degrees of Virgo is going to activate a grand trine between Uranus and Pluto. There's one of those longer-term transits that we're going to put into our consciousness right now because it's going to be with us through the rest of this decade. Uranus and Pluto are within an orb of 5 degrees, making a waxing trine to each other. In other words, Uranus is only 5 degrees away from exact waxing trines to Pluto. Well, guess what? Those waxing trines are not going to happen till 26, 27, 28. There'll be 5 of them, 2 retrograde cycles together, and they're going to come in early Uranus Gemini and Pluto Aquarius. So here they are right now. Pluto late Capricorn, Uranus heading into late Taurus, and Mercury creating that pleasant trine in late Virgo, a grand trine in earth signs. My point is, make your best efforts in your relationships with all of your resources in your world. This can be actual money, finances. And by the way, I'll just say I have a free lecture out there on our YouTube channel, The Public Banking Revolution. The Public Banking Revolution. You can go to, what is it? Evolutionary Astronet on YouTube, Media Monk. You can search that. You can search my name on YouTube, and you can find that free lecture that'll give you the basics of banking, which will come through in the news again and again and again throughout time until we understand that dealing with money in whatever way is a public utility. Media Monk, did I have it right?
Yeah, you got it right.
Evolutionary Astronet on YouTube, right?
Yeah, and that's where we also post these podcasts bi-monthly as well, and on Verbal and on iTunes and on our website. So 3 or 4 places to get these podcasts, but you got it right. Yep. Lots of information, lots of public videos there, lots of older public videos, but still relevant information for anybody that wanted to dip their toe into EA. But also remember that is not necessarily any of the materials in the Astro Library or the EA course. You know, as you kind of pursue your studies of evolutionary astrology, and of course we are accepting enrollments now into the EA course for this fall. So take a look at those materials while you're on the website.
All right. Thanks, Media Monk. Oh, yeah.
And as we close, just a reminder to join us for the online conference coming up, JWGA as in Apple, E as in Eddie, A as in Apple.org, JWGAEA.org, and use the coupon code Pluto to get 10% off for your registration enrollment there on that website.
I'm not done, Media Monk.
Uh-oh, I cut you off, didn't I? I went into promo mode. It must be Sun in Libra.
No, it's that moon's not there yet, but you I think you're jumping into that moon in Aries.
What?
Yeah. I got a couple more things to say, okay? But JWFG, it's Association of Evolutionary Astrologers, AEA.org. However, back to that Mercury, late Virgo, grand trine, with that Uranus waxing trine to Pluto that we are going to notice this entire rest of the decade. Not only our relationship with money, and when I say resources, many times I cover the broad, finances, money, crypto thing when I say resources, but I also mean just our material world. I read something lately that the average American has 5 times as many clothes as they did in the 1970s. And we're so wasteful with clothing. Media Monk gives me a bad time because I sometimes dress like the little farm girl I used to be. And is that not raggedy enough to let it go, Star Lady? But it's also, like I was just pointing out here, it's our relationship with the material world and how we use resources and what resources we want to, value and pay attention to, and how much of this and that do we really need. Here's a macro for you on the resources. How many of you are aware of blue hydrogen and green hydrogen? We have the oil companies trying to get into the Biden administration's Inflation Reduction Act and get their blue hydrogen classified as climate friendly so they can receive all kinds of subsidies. I'm sorry, but the oil companies do not get any more subsidies, and if they have to die out and go bankrupt, their time has come. Blue oxygen burns off the blue hydrogen, burns off the oxygen and creates climate waste. And they're saying they're going to store it underground. It doesn't, in other words, point is it's just as wasteful as burning natural gas. Green hydrogen separates hydrogen and oxygen via water and creates less waste and sometimes no waste for the climate or the planet, So start to educate yourself on the difference between blue hydrogen and green hydrogen as we look at Uranus and Taurus waxing trine to late Pluto and Capricorn. And then as they move into the air signs and we're dealing with gases, which are air, in their volatile form, there's just a little, again, Mercury and Virgo grand trine detail for you to be a part of the evolution of energy and how we use it here on the climate. So in closing, I'd just like to say, Mars moving into Scorpio for, a month and a half. This is its old rulership before we discovered Pluto. And Mars, again, moves into Scorpio the day after Pluto goes stationary direct. So that middle of October, there's some real strong choice points and reality checks that are going on individually and collectively. And so what's sparking for you personally in your evolving values that you want to put that Mars in Cancer willpower with going forward? Mars is going to make a waxing trine to Saturn retrograde just before the new moon. 1 degree Scorpio, Saturn retrograde, 1 degree Pisces. And Saturn slowing down, it's going to be the second outer planet to go direct, November 4th, 0.5 Pisces. But Mars is making a waning trine to Saturn, and it can tend towards rewards of prior efforts, especially outer rewards, because it's a waning trine. It can be collective groups having rewards and energies coming together. Think of the unions kind of maybe solving their renegotiations. Another little tidbit for you, I don't remember if this was the 70s or 80s or maybe even the 90s, but it used to be that the average ratio from CEO to workers was their paychecks. The average ratio used to be 15-1. One of the things that's coming out with the auto renegotiations is that the CEO pays compared to the average workers are 200-1, 300-1, 365-1, or in the case of Elon Musk, 18,000-1. And the Tesla workers are not unionized. Can you imagine a CEO having a paycheck, money and stocks, here's that broad resources word again, a ratio of 18,000-1? I think there's going to be a Pluto and Aquarius redistribution. Anyway, that is my hope and intent. And I will leave you with that for now. Again, for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, I hope you are really enjoying one more full moon out in nature, and especially if it's warm enough. Those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, I hope that you are enjoying your anticipation of spring. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll talk to you on the new moon solar eclipse in a couple of weeks.
Blessings, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.